Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're reviewing the LHI 250 size racing quadcopter RTF model. It's ready to fly. You get it in this carrying case as well, and all you need to do is pop in your batteries and go ahead and fly. It is an FPV quadcopter, so if you have goggles, you can connect it to your goggles or whatever FPV system you have and go ahead and get racing. So anyway, today's gonna be all about a full review for this thing. We're gonna go ahead and kind of unpackage it, inspect it, take it out to our park, do a full flight test with the pros and cons and see how it did. I will have the links to this guy, don't forget, in the description down below the video. So go ahead and click that link, check out the specs, pricing, and everything so you can see all that information. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox this thing, or actually uncase it. It just kind of came in an ugly box and I didn't really want to show that, just a cardboard box. There was no labeling or anything on it. But it comes in this package. A lot of these cheaper quads, RTF versions, are kind of coming in this same little package, but it's a good little case. You know, it's got kind of mesh bag here with some zipper on the sides here so you can put extra stuff in there. But this is it here. So it's got a little foam padding to protect the quad on top. So it's kind of an X-frame quadcopter here, 250 size. We can see that we've got 4 little sets of propellers, so that would be 8 propellers, you know, 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise each, so we get a full extra set on top of the initial set to get it flying. So that's always nice to have extras. We can see that the quadcopter's here in the bottom of the bag here, and then also the controller. It's a Radio Link AT9 controller, and these are actually pretty good controllers. I just did a review on the Swell Pro Splash Drone, which comes with a variation orange controller of the Radio Link. So what I should mention here is this radio was actually slightly damaged from shipping, and I'll tell you what I did. So the bracket here, the holding bracket, was actually broken, and I went ahead and kind of super glued it here to get it just working. And also, unfortunately, the switch that is used to go to the different flight modes. This has, you know, like standard stabilized mode, horizon or attitude mode, and also full acro mode. This toggle was broken off from the shipping damage. So what I had to do, if you'll notice on the top here, is this one's missing. So I went ahead and stole the toggle from this switch here and went inside, opened up the controller, and went ahead and did my own kind of connecting inside. This was the old toggle. You can see how it's kind of broken off there. If we kind of zoom in here, you can see where it broke off. And this is the part that broke off, this little toggle switch. So this was unusable, and I had to go ahead and steal a switch from the other side just to make this work. So right out of the box, a couple of little cons just because of the shipping damage. So keep that in mind. I did relay that information to LHI to tell them to maybe package their boxes a little better. It was a pretty thin cardboard box around this guy here, and unfortunately you can see how these switches stick up pretty high, and apparently this was not enough just from that and a little cardboard box to protect that switch. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, here's the controller. So nice looking controller. It's just the AT9 controller, and really the only switches that you're going to be using are these here. So I believe this one is arming with the control stick, so you don't need to arm with any of these other switches. It's just the switching the modes in your flights here. You could always reconfigure to have like an arming switch with one of these if you wanted to go into the flight controller and do that. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to fly it out of the box since it's touted to be an RTF version. I want to see how it flies just as you get it from the factory. Okay, so that's the controller. You also get this little disc here. I haven't actually looked at this disc, but it's just like a little mini CD with an instruction manual on it, so you can check that out if you wanted to. Furthermore, getting to more of the quad, let's go ahead and take all this stuff out. There's really nothing else except here's your little FPV antenna they give you, a little polarized, circular polarized, pretty cheap little antenna. Of course, you could put on whatever you wanted, but this will get you started. And also they advised me that they couldn't ship this with the LiPo battery in it. So I don't know, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to ship it to you with the LiPo battery in or what, but it's supposed to come with a LiPo battery. But when they shipped it, they did contact me and just say they can't. So I went ahead and told them no problem, I have a bunch of lipos sitting around. So just to advise you guys of that, just in case you run into that problem. But here it is. So here's the 250 size quad. It's a pretty nice looking little guy. You know, it's kind of reminiscent to say like a ZMR or something. You know, just build your own quad, but this one's already all built. And let's go ahead and check out what the specs are. So they're kind of their own branded motors, 2300 kV motors, 2204 2300 kV. They got these nice self-locking, self-tightening prop nuts here, these aluminum prop nuts, which I like having this hole in them so you can just stick anything you have in the field like a wrench or you know, Allen wrench, and go ahead and tighten them. You don't have to have like a open-ended wrench. Anyway, here's the quad here. It's all carbon fiber. This should be a true carbon fiber. It's looking like the arms are about, I'd say 3 millimeter, it looks like, on the arms on these guys. And then the rest of the quad is thinner. There's a kind of a cage here in the center, and these all look like maybe 1.5 millimeter. And then we have all of our standoffs here. Here's our flight controller tucked away nicely inside. That's not going to get damaged or anything from any kind of crashing. It is very well protected. And then we have kind of our front box here where we have our receiver, the radio link receiver. And then we have our kind of our camera box. We do have an adjustable camera. You can see on the side here we actually have these slits. It's in the middle slit right now, but if you wanted to, you could even give it more angle by tilting it back, or less by tilting it forward. And it looks like you will have to kind of take this apart to go ahead and do your tilting. So it's not an easy, immediate tilting process like some of the cameras have, like screws you can just unscrew. Anyway, there's the top plate. It looks like it has plenty of room for like a GoPro or run cam or GoPro session type of camera if you wanted to put one up top. Doesn't have any wedge or anything for the angle, so you'll have to have your own wedge depending on your flight angle. Velcro strap for the battery, which I didn't unfortunately get with this one, but I have plenty of batteries. This should be handling 3S to 4S with no problem. Their favorite opto ESCs, 20 amp ESCs, so plenty of power to be pushing whatever you can throw at it. Micro USB port there for getting into the flight controller. I believe this one has clean flight. I'm not sure. It's either clean or beta flight. I didn't see in the description all the specs of like the transmitter output power or the you know, flight controller software or anything like that. I think it is a CC3D flight controller, and that's kind of all I could decipher from their description on the website. But one thing I didn't like is these feet here. These are heavy little rubber feet they put on, and they're just kind of bolted on from the top, you know, right in between these two wires here. So they will give it, you know, a little more durability and, you know, landing durability, but it seems like they're adding a lot of weight. These are like, gosh, they're like an ounce each. So I'd recommend taking those off. I'm going to take those off before I fly, just in case, you know, save a little bit more power. Probably be putting a little bit smaller of a battery to have a little more less weight, and I don't need these things weighing it down at all. Now, what's interesting is they have on the bottom here, they have these little LED, these are their LED lights on the bottom of the motors, and you can see how the wire is kind of running into the bottom. So a little kind of some stuff to catch on, you know. Might have been cool if they wrapped them up and went through the top. Anyway, that's about it for the bottom. You can see that it does have some slotting on the bottom. Unfortunately, these feet, this hole that these feet make here, are going to actually weaken the arms a little bit. So we'll see how that holds up, hopefully in some crashing and stuff. But you lose quite a bit of strength in your arms by having a hole right down the middle there. You can see on the back we do have an XT60 connector. I'll probably be running like maybe a 13 or 1500 4S LiPo battery on here. It should fit nicely in here. I'll go ahead and put on, I just got a new session camera, or I'll be running my run cam probably on the front here, so you guys can see, you know, the FPV video that I'll be recording in my Fat Sharks, as well as some nice high definition video, and you can really see how it performs and how smooth it is out of the box. And as far as the control antenna, it looks like they just kind of clipped it right up here in the front. You can see how it's right there up with the carbon fiber. I'm not sure how great that's going to work for range, but that's kind of how they did it, and they do have an interesting decoupler here. Anyways, that's as far as I'm going to go with the unboxing on this one. Pretty self-explanatory how to put on propellers. You know, if you're buying a quad like this, you should already kind of know how to put on the propellers. Very easy. You just have the propeller nuts here. Put on your propeller, make sure you have the right direction. These quads usually spin. They're going to be lifting the air and spinning in towards the back and in towards the front. So you just want to make sure that the top edge of your propellers are scooping the air into that direction. All right, let's get out and fly this thing. Okay guys, so we're at the park with the LHI 250 Racer and going to do a thorough flight test. We'll go ahead and do a line of sight first with one battery to see how it performs line of sight, and then I'm going to pop on this. This is the GoPro Hero Session camera, so I'll be popping that on when we do the FPV. And for the FPV, I'm going to be going ahead and using a new set of goggles I got today. This is the Amway, what are these ones called? Commander goggles version 1. So these are like a diversity, not sure if they're diversity, but they're dual antenna. So I got a patch and a monopole on there. There's a DVR in here. So these are brand new. I haven't used these yet, so this will be a good test if these work. These are 40 channel and they have a scanner in them, so hopefully we can pick up some good FPV. I've been having trouble with the Fat Sharks and the 32 channel module and the Fat Sharks. I think that's been my FPV problem. So go ahead and test out these Amways, but first I want to go ahead and, without this camera, I'm going to do a line of sight so you guys can see how it flies. Okay, so I have not flown this thing yet at all, so I just wanted to show you what I kind of did. The antenna here was kind of zip tied sideways here, so I just went ahead and brought it up. So it's a little higher, a little better range, and I went ahead and put some foam in here because if that battery does slide forward, it could cut the antenna wire. And there's no really grip tape on the bottom of the battery, so I just kind of put some grippy foam in there, so hopefully that works for now. And then the antenna looked like this might be a weak point here with the antenna they give us, or even just the antenna in general. So I went ahead and put some foam. I just cut some foam out of the bag they give you and put it underneath here, and then just zip tie this down just in case we have some crashes. This isn't a weak point. And I also took off those kind of hard rubber feet. I didn't see really the need for those, and they added quite a bit of weight, so I just went ahead and unscrewed those, took them off. And so let's go ahead and do this line of sight flight test. Turn on the controller here, and then we'll just go ahead and plug in. I just kind of have the battery leads wedged down in this little box here. Okay, so there's the boot up chime. Let's go ahead and fly this thing. So for this thing, to arm it, you go throttle down and to the right. Unfortunately, you don't hear anything, but it just arms. You see how we are armed now? So launch, give it a little throttle punch. Now this is attitude mode, self-leveling. I mean, you can see that it's pretty touchy, but it is staying very level. Let's just check out our yaw real quick. There's the lights. The lights are very visible, red in the back, green in the front, and I also have the black props on the back and green in the front for line of sight orientation. Full yaw to the left. Great, perfect yaw rate for me. Not super fast, but not slow either. Let's go ahead and see. So let's do a punch test real quick. So this is a fresh 4S battery, 1300. So full throttle up right now. Definitely is very quick, and the props will shut off if you pull the throttle all the way down. So be careful with that. It does fall level up to a certain extent. So this is attitude, so it's self-leveling and you can't go over a certain pitch, but the pitch is very high. Look at that pitch. Let's get a little closer. Forward pitch all the way. So that's like maybe an 80% pitch there, I'd say. See how far that goes. That's great. If you are a learner, but you still want to fly hard, you can pitch pretty hard there. Let's go ahead and do a full throttle and full pitch forward. See how fast this thing is from the side. Ready, go. Wow. So you're going to get some speed out of this thing. Now these are dual props. Wow. So you probably get a little bit more punch with tri-blades, but these dual blades are working really good. Okay, so rates of flight. I think that kind of does everything you can do in attitude mode. Let's flip this switch down, the one I had to replace, the C switch, to the middle. Now this should be ratitude. Let me see if I can do a flip. Nope. I can't do a flip yet. Okay. So there should be some tuning I can do in the flight controller. Oh, there it is. Okay, that was it. So it was actually the F switch. Did you see that? Okay, so the good thing about the throttle cutoff is you lower that throttle and it will cut the props if you crash. I'm not seeing any bent propellers, so I'm just going to slap this thing down. Looks like the FPV antenna got a little bit bent. I'm just going to put this thing down, lift off again, and then it looks like the F switch is going to be our acro. So arming, lifting off. Okay, so we're in attitude mode. Really impressed with this one. It flies very well. Flipping this F switch up. Now we're in acro. Okay, so attitude or acro is all we got, guys, on this one, out of the box. Let's see if we can do some flips. Punching and flip. Ah, nice. It does have a very good rate in the flips, the roll. Here's a forward flip. See that? Okay, I'm liking this one so far. Let's see how our yaw rate is. About the same yaw, it feels like. I just switched back into attitude. Yeah, same yaw for both. Okay, wow. Nice. You can do some good acrobatics with this one. Let's do a little bit throttle on, solid rolls. Nice. Okay. Let's see if we have any squirrely flips of death. If we like take off the throttle and then throttle back on. So punching, throttle off, throttle back on. Ooh. Okay, that was looks like that might end our flight test there. That was totally my bad. I totally just throttled on when it was upside down. But if anything, a good durability test. And I have a feeling, yes, we did. We broke an arm. Okay. So that's what you can expect for durability. So let me unplug this thing. And gosh, I wish I hadn't have done that and totally ended the flight test. But we can see this arm here is cracked. And it looks like we're going to need to buy the entire rear plate. The funny thing is the propeller is not even bent. This propeller's fine, this propeller's fine, that propeller's fine. Actually, this one's bent up just a little bit higher. But shoot, look at that. So the propeller went into the grass and didn't bend, but this is goners, this arm. Looks like a weak point there because they're screwing right through where the arm is, and they have another hole for the zip tie. So bad design there. Very weak design where it comes out of the body here, where the arms are. You can see that little hole there, hole there. So that's probably what did it. If it didn't have, maybe if it had 0 holes there, or at least just one, maybe it wouldn't have broke there. But kind of gives you an idea of how this thing is in a hard crash. So let's go ahead and do like a little pros and cons for the flight we did. Unfortunately, again, I wasn't able to do an FPV test. But for what it is, let's go ahead and go through the pros and cons for what we did. Okay, so actually, other than the weak arm area, very impressed. The construction is kind of like that older box construction, but it seems very durable as far as the midsection goes. Packaging wasn't that great, so one of these switches was broken, like I said, in the unbox, and I had to go ahead and switch it out. But it seemed like it didn't matter because this is the switch that does the acro attitude here. So I switched that one out for nothing. For some reason, I had thought that was the switch. I think in the manual it said that, maybe. So I don't know what happened there, but you can see the Velcro strap broke, battery flew off. It is very powerful. You can see that it does have 20 amp ESCs, and it's got a lot of power even with these dual bladed props. Very fun to fly, at least line of sight. But again, that's the weak point of this one, is the arm, and unfortunately you have to buy a whole new bottom plate. It's not integrated at all, so you know the bottom plate is pretty thick. This is like 3 to 4 millimeter, so it shouldn't be that hard to replace the bottom plate. But you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws to pull off, and then you're gonna have to like unsolder these, or unsolder these light wires, pull those out, and you should be able to just slap on another bottom plate. And then also right at the arm too, there's actually 3 points of weakness. It's actually 3 points of weakness. The bolt that holds the chassis up with that standoff, that larger hole, that larger nut screw there, and then that little zip tie hole, and then also right here, this little slot where the side of the chassis, the carbon fiber, goes down. So you have actually 3 points of weakness right in the arm. So they really need to fix that. You know, if that hole there was, the standoff was more over here, down from the arm. So bad design again, where the arm attaches to the mid chassis. But otherwise a great quad. Maybe if it's cheap enough and this is like a first RTF racer for you, this might do the job. Anyway guys, for what it was, hope you enjoyed that review there. Again, I didn't get to test these Amway goggles. I really wanted to. I'll be testing these out soon with some other reviews, so tune into the channel. You know, I do a lot of reviews like this, so check out the channel. I think you'll like it. Do a lot of crash testing recently, and a lot of them haven't really been holding up, and this is one of them. Otherwise, a great quad. Hope you liked the review. I will have the link to this down in the description. Don't forget, down there, check out the link if you're interested to see the pricing and a little bit more in-depth specs. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.